I will say one thing about this film though, at least they never called the Millennium Falcon garbage this time around. Hello everyone, this is Alex Blumian, and welcome back to another movie review, and my very first video of the 2020 decade. This time around, we are going to be taking a look at Star Wars IX: The Rise of Skywalker. I would say this is the 11th film in this franchise, if you count the Rogue One and Han Solo anthology movies. And also, I will say this, while I'm not that big of a fan of the original films, I can respect them for being such a cultural phenomenon, and that's a really good thing. I did watch the iconic I Am Your Father scene from Empire Strikes Back, and man, I can definitely see why that scene has so much memorability, if that's even a real word. When it comes to Disney's Star Wars, referring to the Disney era of Star Wars movies, I can only think of this. Force Awakens and Solo, they were just okay. Rogue One, I personally think, is the best out of the Disney Star Wars films thus far, while Last Jedi might as well be called Unnecessary Retcons and Twists the Movie. For this one, I called it as my least anticipated movie of last year, and for good reason. It's because, so far, this trilogy is mediocre at most by this point. So back to Rise of Skywalker, will this film rise to the likes of the original trilogy, or will we have to take it far into the Old Town Road? Let's figure it out. And once again, I apologize for sounding sick again. This time I've been coughing a lot and it's giving me a bit of a sore throat and a bit of chest pain. But the show must go on, as they say. So in the movie, Kylo Ren is going on a wild goose chase, while Rey and Finn and the others are also on a wild goose chase. And hey, Palpatine is back for no reason. Isn't that neato? For the most part, this movie doesn't feel like it has an actual story, just a bunch of random fast-paced events happening. They jump one place, then another, then another, then another, for like every 5 to 10 minutes each. That's what it felt like to me. For a 2.5-hour movie, it felt like I was rewatching Age of Ultron due to how fast it was. No matter how I enjoyed that, I cannot deny that it had some pacing issues. It moved so fast that there was one moment where I thought one of the characters died, and then literally a couple of minutes later, it turned out to be a cop-out, as said character turned out to be alive somehow. That proved to be a pointless, pothole-filled scenario. The biggest pothole of all is the villain Palpatine's return. How he managed to survive is vaguely and hardly ever explained. No one, and I mean no one, could survive this. And even if you did, you would die very quickly due to lack of oxygen. There was also 2 moments in the movie where Rey's OP powers not only made her a Mary Sue type character, but a Mary Sue type character who is also a stinkin' messiah. There were also 2 supporting characters in the movie, and they contributed little to it, other than revealing one character's backstory, which sounds very, very stupid, and introducing horse-like creatures. Cue the Old Town Road song. There were 2 more moments when the characters were speaking through the Force, and somehow they managed to break things during that time fighting through it. It's just logic defying to me. I don't recall any of that in any of the past movies. If there are any good things about this movie, is at least it tried to do stuff with Finn, you know, that First Order trooper guy who tried to find redemption. This movie tried to do stuff with him, even hinting at one thing, but there are 2 problems with that. This is the final film of this trilogy, and it goes way too fast, like I said. The battle sequences were pretty good. Not great, but good, but the final battle felt like it was trying to rip off Endgame. For the characters, let's take a look at all 3 of the main characters, Rey, Finn, and Poe. While I already said things about Rey, for Finn, like I said, this film tries to hint that he may be Force sensitive, but that proved unimportant, and this film makes me hate Poe even more. Since Last Jedi made him look like an incompetent idiot, here his backstory is just plain old stupid. I'll just leave it at that. I did not feel that this trinity of characters felt like real friends because, majority of time, they would bicker about stuff. And for C-3PO, I just feel sorry for him. All I remember was him being mocked at and being pushed around by everyone. The only character I feel is the most consistent is Kylo Ren himself. Throughout the entire 3 films, we see him struggling with his spiritual power, whether to walk to the dark or stay in the light. And there was one moment with him, with a ghost, that I can admit was a pretty good moment. For Palpatine, he's just a plot device to keep this film's story afloat. As I said earlier, no explanation how he survived or how he ended up to a certain location, or how he managed to salvage thousands of ships. While I have heard worse, I am gonna say this, and please try to understand me, but this film is indeed the most disappointing movie I have ever seen of last year. I thought Captain Marvel takes that title, and I thought Lion King the Remake takes that title. And then came Rise of Skywalker. There is hardly a story because the film went too fast, just a random wild goose chase movie until the climax that made me despise Poe Dameron even more. Rey is basically a messiah at this point. It tries to do stuff with Finn, but very little. The battles were good, and at least the film looks good to look at. But that is all I could say about this movie. The only reason why I went out and see it in the first place is because I wanted to hang out with my friend. And I got barely enjoyment out of this. So if you still enjoy this movie, then more power to ya. But for me, I am going to give Star Wars The Fall of Skywalker a 4 out of 10. There is one comment I found from a video that opened my eyes even more about this movie's ending, but I'd rather not show it until one of my future videos. So guys, I'm planning 2 more reviews so I can get my favorite of 2019 video ready, and they are for How to Train Your Dragon 3 The Hidden World and Detective Pikachu. So be on the lookout for those. And also, I have pre-ordered something from the PS4 store. Think of it as a treat to start the year off in terms of gaming, but it won't come until the 23rd of this month. So best to wait patiently. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. Don't forget to like this video, comment down your thoughts on this movie, and I hope you all have a blurific new year.